Hi, welcome to COM 275. This course is the introduction course in the media series. The other two courses in that series are COM 375, which focuses on media entertainment, and COM 475 focuses on political campaigns and health campaigns. This course is the introductory course to the series, so we'll cover both of those topics within this course, although briefly. But we'll also cover media research theories, media research methods. We'll look at intended effects of media exposure, so things like learning and persuasion. And then we'll also look at unintended effects, so the way the media exposure influences our thoughts, our attitudes, and our behaviors without our knowledge. So before we get started, I thought I should just tell you a little bit about myself. That's me on the left there, and that's my beautiful wife Allison, and our baby Violet, who was born the day after Christmas this past year. She's a little over 4 months old right now. Right now I'm completing my PhD. I'm writing my dissertation. Hopefully I'll have that defended before this class is over. I'm working with my advisor, and we're looking at media's influences, which I'll talk a little bit more about, obviously, throughout this course. I received my master's from MSU back in 2010, and I got my bachelor's from University of North Carolina back in 2005. I will be joining the University at Buffalo, which is in Buffalo, New York. It's the flagship school of the SUNY system. I'll be joining their communication department this fall as their newest hire. I'll start as an assistant professor there. And my research looks at media psychology, intuitive morality, and entertainment media. I'm specifically interested in trying to figure out what are the psychological processes that are within an individual that influence what they like and what they don't like when it comes to media. So why is it that we like certain movies? Why is it that we dislike others? Why are some songs appealing while others are not appealing at all? And what about video games makes them so addictive for players? So a lot of my research focuses on the psychological underpinnings of these processes. Namely, intuitive morality is something that I'm looking at most recently. And when I say intuitive morality, I mean morality that you don't necessarily have to think about, right? So things that we think of as being good, for example, like caring for other people, being fair, things that we automatically think of as bad, things like being disloyal to someone or being uncaring. And how do those processes influence what we like and our responses to media? So for example, if we do bad things in a video game, such as killing innocent people or acting as a terrorist, do those types of experiences elicit specific emotions like guilt, like we would expect them to in real life? So I'm curious about that, and largely I look mostly at entertainment media, although in the course we'll be talking about entertainment media and other forms of media. So the general approach of this course is deeply rooted in the social scientific tradition. That means basically all of the content that we'll be covering will focus on social science as a method, that is experimentation, survey research, content analysis, but basically looking at what we can observe. So it's not based on philosophical tenets, although those can be introduced, but it's more focused on the observation of relationships within the environment and basically what we can test against scientific theory. The focus is on the influence of mass media on thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors of individuals and groups. So we'll talk about how media exposure can change our thoughts, how it can change our attitudes, how it can alter our behaviors in certain instances. And we'll look at this both at a micro level, so within an individual, and also somewhat at a group level, so society at large. That's a nice duality that we can think about throughout the course, and you should be thinking about when we're talking about theories. So is this theory referencing something that's going on within an individual that's focused on their specific psychology, or is the theory talking about what aggregate groups of individuals do? So is it more focused on a macro level approach? The questions we'll consider are, why do people consume media? A lot of people spend more time with media every day or looking at screens than they do with friends and family. So it's become an increasingly important part of our daily lives. And in addition to that, we'll look at how do media affect us in our daily lives. So media can change the way we think, can change our impressions of other people, of other places, of things. And like I said, it's becoming an increasingly important part of our daily lives. With the addition of smartphones, we basically have screens and media with us constantly. So how does that change fundamentally what it means to be human. That's one question we'll ask. So, and then we'll also look at how do media shape the way we learn about the world. So media is a huge influence on what you know and what you don't know of the world. If you think about certain things, you have lots of experience through the media with them, but you have very little real life exposure to them. And how can that change the way you view the world? So we'll talk about that as well. So now I'm going to talk about the syllabus a little bit. I'll talk about course objectives, course requirements, the exams that'll take place during the course, and also some response papers that you'll be completing throughout the course. So if you want to open up the syllabus, now you should pause the slideshow and just kind of look through it as we're talking about this. So course objectives. By the end of this course, you should be able to understand a variety of effects associated with exposure to the mass media. You'll be expected to comprehend the way in which mass media is studied. And then you'll also be expected to recognize some of the unanswered questions in the field and offer possible answers to those questions. So we'll talk about a bunch of different theories throughout the course, a bunch of different research perspectives, paradigms, etc. These different approaches, you should think about them as complementing each other, not being necessarily exclusive. So it's not like one is right and the other is wrong. They're just different ways to think about this process of exposure to media and the way it affects us. You'll also be expected to understand how we study mass media, so the different tools we have to study mass media. Those tools depend on which questions we want to answer. So if you want to know, for example, how much violence there is in the media, that's going to be a very different tool set you're going to need to answer that question than if you wanted to answer a question such as, how does the violence that's in the media affect children? Those are two different types of questions. There are different methods for answering those questions, and not all methods are created equal, so some are going to be better suited for answering different questions. So we'll be talking about those. And then finally, you'll be able to, because we're talking about theories, because we're talking about different methods, you should be able to recognize some of the unanswered questions in the field. So where do the theories end off and not know in addition to what we do know? The book you'll need for this course is Fundamentals of Media Effects by Jennings Bryant and Susan Thompson. I would recommend ordering this from Amazon. You can get it fairly cheaply there. They should also have it at bookstores in town if you're still in East Lansing for the summer. Otherwise, definitely order this as soon as possible. I'll try to post the first couple of chapters from the book so you can start reading ahead if you don't have it already. There'll also be some additional readings posted on Angel throughout the semester. These could come in the way of Wikipedia pages that I think you'll need to read to understand some background on a topic, or they could be just sections of papers that I've selected. So you'll see those when they come up, and I'll send out emails when they get posted. Alright, so grading breaks down the following way. You have 3 exams. They're going to be 60% of your grade, so 20% each. There will be 2 response papers that are due throughout the course. One is due the first week, and then the second one isn't due until the second week of June. Those are going to be 30% of your final grade. And then the last part is a research component, which is 10% of your final grade. I'll go into more detail about these later, but these are the grading breakdown of the course. Attendance is on your own time. You can access this information any point in time. The only exceptions to that are the exams, which are expected to be taken on a specific date, and the response papers, which are due on a specific date. You're not spending about 6 hours per week on lectures. The lectures definitely won't take up that amount of time, but the good thing about online courses is that you can pause lectures, you can look up information. So they're expected to be full lectures, and you're expected to kind of engage on your own time. Exams are required to be taken on the date they are assigned. If you have any problems with that, and you know you're going to be out of town ahead of time, send me an email. We can make some additional arrangements, but you have to let me know ahead of time. Alright, so first I want to talk about the exams, which make up 60% of your grade. There will be 3 exams, each making up 20% of your grade. The first exam is coming up fairly quickly on May 24th. The second exam is on June 6th. And the third exam is on June 27th. Now each one of these exams is going to be multiple choice and true-false. and there's going to be a 60-minute time limit for you to take each one of these exams. You'll take them online on Angel, and the 60-minute time limit is designed to ensure that you're not just using your book, you're not just using your notes, that you're thinking about this material and you're retaining some of it. The 60-minute time limit is a hard limit unless you have a legitimate reason that you would need additional time, such as a learning disability that is registered with the RCPD on MSU's campus. If you have something like that, let me know and we will extend that time limit obviously for you. The exams are, like I said, multiple choice and true-false. They're designed to test the applicability that you have with the knowledge that you're learning. So can you apply the information that you're learning to situations and come up with the correct answer. The exams should be taken on the day that they are assigned, for example, May 24th, June 6th, and June 27th. However, if you know ahead of time that you'll be out of town for one of those days, please let me know ahead of time and we can set up some kind of alternative testing time frame. You'll have 2 response papers that are due throughout the course. The first is due May 17th and then the second one is due June 14th. These response papers are designed to get you thinking about course material, wrestling with some topics. So I'll ask you a question, and then your job is to try to answer those questions to the best of your ability by incorporating course material, but also your own knowledge about the way the world works. For these, you want to be specific. You don't want to be very broad because we have a strict length requirement on these. The maximum length is around 450 words. The minimum length is around 200 words. But we're looking for around 300 words on each topic that we assign you. So the max 450, that's a hard limit. Don't go over that. I won't read past 450 words. And the reason we have these length requirements is designed to make you be careful with your words, be concise, and to try to explore the topic in a brief but a complete manner. These questions will come up throughout the course. Once I post the first response paper, which should be done on the first day of class, you'll have some time to think about it. In addition to the response paper, there's also a research component of the course. This is worth 10% of your grade, and there are 2 options to complete this. Option 1, you can read and summarize a communication research article. I will post some example articles on Angel. But you feel free to select any research article from a peer-reviewed journal. I have a list of journals that you can select from in the syllabus, so look at that. And your job is basically just to read the article and summarize what the article was about. Option 2 is for you to complete 1 hour of research participation online. I will be sending out some research opportunities throughout the semester, so you can use those to complete your 1 hour of research participation credit as well. So 2 options there to complete the research component. The grading scale is a 4-point scale. 90 to 100 is a 4-point, and then there's 5-point increments for each half GPA grade point after that. So a 3.5 is 85 to 90, a 3.0 is 80 to 84, 2.5 75 to 79, and so on. Course content. As I said earlier, there are 3 exams, and so there's 3 sections of the course. The first 2 weeks cover background, so this will be the history of media effects, the methods of study, and some other background information that you'll need for the rest of the course. These background lectures are going to be really important, and this is generally the hardest section of the class. People usually do better on the second 2 sections because they're covering more content, and this is covering kind of background information. It's a little bit drier and whatnot. I'll try to make it interesting for you, but just realize coming in that this is going to be the hardest section of the course. The second section of the course looks at the intended effects of mass media, so things like persuasion, attitude change, learning, all of those topics. The last section covers unintended effects, so maybe ways that the mass media influences us without our knowledge. So we'll talk about violence effects here. There's a lot of research that's been done on violence. There's a lot of research that's been done on sex in the media. So we'll talk about unintended effects, how maybe our opinions, our views, our knowledge kind of is shifted even without our knowledge. So that brings us to the end of the first lecture. Feel free to reference this at any point in time. Also, be sure to read your syllabus completely, look ahead, look at your dates, make sure that you'll be able to complete all the assignments on time. If I don't hear from you before an assignment is due, you probably need a really good reason to let me know why you didn't let me know time, considering this is an online class. Other than that, go ahead and pull up the next lecture whenever you're ready. This will cover the history of communication methods throughout time. So going back prehistory to when modern humans first came on the evolutionary scene and going all the way up to present day.